Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. And I am excited to be here for Faith Intensive number 15. Wow, this is number 15. So I want to just take a few minutes before we get into the teaching today and give you a couple of ways that you can connect with Based on Faith through our various social media platforms. Based on Faith is on Facebook under the name Based on Faith. We also have Instagram, which is official_Based on Faith. Obviously, YouTube, which we are on now. And we would actually like you to click subscribe if you would do that. And also the bell to the right of the word subscribe. And there's a drop-down menu. And if you go there and click, it will allow you to receive content that we upload as we upload it. So do that, and I think you will enjoy that and be blessed. So lastly, we have a general email address, which is info@basedonfaith.org, and our website, which is basedonfaith.org. So our website, we also would like to encourage you to go visit. We have done a lot of work trying to upload really great content for you, and periodically we add additional blog articles and that sort of thing. So go check that out as well. All right, so today is Faith Intensive number 15. And so I've titled this teaching, Love's Fruit is Freedom. Okay, so before we really get into the teaching, I want to ask you some questions. Hey, Faith, you're on. We're trying it this way today. We're going to do our teaching live on YouTube. We had some technical difficulties recording it as a pre-recording, so we're going to do it this way. So this is exciting that you're on. Okay, so a couple of questions as we kind of go into the teaching material. Have you or do you right now feel like you're stuck? Do you feel like you are in a place that you can't move beyond? Do you feel like you're in some kind of chains, or there's a cell that you're in, like a prison cell, and you can't get through because of the bars that are blocking you? And so if you feel that way in any area of your life, or if you have felt that way, or even in the future, if you start to feel that way, this is something that I think we all need to keep in mind when we're facing that. So there's really one step, and that is choose love as your counselor. So one step, pretty easy. And so what I'm going to do is go through what this really means in this teaching. So let's start with Proverbs 11:14. This is the King James Version. It says, "Where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety." Okay, so what does this verse have to do with what I just said? Okay, so first of all, in this King James Version, it says there is safety, but in some other translations, it says there is victory. So, you know, as related to the counsel that we have, there is safety and there's victory if we choose the right counsel. So it's very connected with love, and we'll see just how interconnected it is as we go through. So first of all, there are counselors, right? There are counselors that want to speak into your ear. From the time you wake up in the morning until you go to bed at night, there are voices, right? All you have to do is pick up your phone, and all you have to do is start scrolling through. You have notifications. There's a voice speaking something into your life. You look through social media, you know, and you keep scrolling. There are people who have voices Just turn on the news, right? Voices all day long, neighbors, people that you work with, family members, books that you read, even commercials on TV. So there are voices that want to speak into your life. They want your attention. And so which one will you choose? So the counselors that I'm speaking of, and there's really two, this is basic, right? It's not complicated, is fear or love. Okay, so there's only two choices. When you choose the right counselor, as we just saw, Proverbs 11:14 tell us that you will succeed and will be victorious. So that's based on you choosing the right counselor. So let's say, we pick this up even for 5 minutes or 3 minutes or really even 30 seconds, honestly. You pick this up and you start scrolling through. Pretty easy. We do it all day long. What do you see? What do you hear? Bad news, right? Right. A term we've heard a lot lately, fake news. The state of the economy, right? The word recession, tensions between world powers, disease, especially in this last year, right? We've heard pandemic, liberties or rights being strategically eroded. So all of these things are being talked about. There's a voice that is speaking, and so we have to discern the source of that voice, right? What is that voice yielding to? Is it fear or love, right? And in these examples, really, in so many cases, the majority of the voices are yielding to fear. But the Bible clearly tells us that we are to choose love as our counselor. So what happens, for example, let's say here's a life situation. What happens when somebody disappoints you? So you're going to have some counselors, right? The two counselors. You have love or you have fear. So if you listen to fear, you may react in that situation. But if you are listening to the counsel of love, you will have self-control and you will act, not react. Let's kind of think about the President of the United States as an example. He has a cabinet, which is a group of top advisors for his advisors. And the cabinet members are chosen because of, quite a few criteria, but some of those are experience. They have a lot of experience. They are knowledgeable about a certain area. And, they are acting in the best interest of, in this example, the United States, right? So advising the president regarding a particular issue in our best interest, right? So the president has a team of advisors. He's surrounded by counsel, and it's important who he chooses to be his advisor, right? So the same is true in our lives. We have to have the right advisor, the right counselor. And again, we are told to have love. We're instructed to have love as our counselor. So when we listen to a voice of counsel, most of the time we're going to agree with that, right? I think there's a saying in like leadership coaching and those kind of circles that you become like the 5 people you're surrounded by, the most, right? So who you hang out with, who you listen to, who your advisors are, that's kind of the direction of your life. And so it is that because when we're listening to counsel, we agree with that, and then based on our agreement, we start to act. So our life starts, moving in action based on that counsel. So if we are listening to, let me just give you some contrasting examples here. If we're listening to the counsel of fear, we will walk toward disunity, right? If we're listening to the counsel of love, we will walk towards unity, because that's what those different voices of counsel will advise. So we've talked about choosing love as our counselor. We've talked about the two voices, the two types of counselors, right? Fear or love. And so let's look now at 1 John 4:18. So the King James Version says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear has torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love." So I think this is really obvious, in the verse here, but it points out the contrast between fear and love. So when we choose love, there is no fear, right? Perfect love, which is God Himself, absolute love. So not the world's twisted version of love, which is merit-based, but absolute perfect love casts out fear. And the same is true. Fear pushes love out. So they're enemies of each other. Love sends fear an eviction notice, and it executes on that notice. So when you start to feel torment or punishment or something like that, that is a sign that fear has been speaking, and that has been a sign of fear's presence and the wake of fear, right? So, when we started, I asked you, do you feel like you're stuck? Do you ever feel like you can't move forward? Do you feel like there's no freedom in the situation? I think one of the things is we need to know that we can take control over our life by choosing love instead of, and there's two ways. We can either actively choose to listen to fear, or we can even passively allow ourselves to choose fear as our counselor, right? We can actively choose or passively choose. But even if, doesn't matter if it's active or passive, both are still a choice. And that's really important for us to know. So fear, fear is the opposite of love. They don't mix. They cast out each other. Kind of like if you make a salad and you have oil and vinegar and you shake it up, or you try to blend it and emulsify it, they won't mix. They just won't. And so that's how faith and fear are. They don't mix. They cast each other out. Fear leaves us with punishment, with torment, those kinds of feelings, and also that kind of advice. But love will leave us with a clear path to what God has for each of us. So at this point, I think it's really good to kind of pull out some other points here. So what I want to draw out right now is to say, you have the freedom to choose. That's really important for you to know. You have the freedom to choose. And because you have freedom, you are not a victim, right? You're not a victim. And the reason is because you got to choose. Because you had a choice and you made a free choice. See, God, He creates us with a choice, with a free will. He even though he loves us so much and he's already chosen us, he doesn't force us to even choose him. He gives us a choice, and that's love, right? Love is associated with free will and choice. But being a victim is associated with having a passive status, right? It says you are in a situation and your life is the result of something you didn't choose. So you're pointing fingers, right? So, like, if I'm pointing a finger and I'm blaming somebody, I'm pointing one finger, and we've all heard this, but I'm pointing one finger and 3 are pointing back at myself. So really, it's me. I have the choice. I have the decision-making power to choose. So with love, you have liberty to choose for yourself, and it all points back to your own choice. There's responsibility and there's maturity with love. And another thing is really important to just say, here's a key. You're not free until you have a choice, right? If you have a choice, that means you're free. And so that's why God gave us a choice, because he is love, right? Love gives a choice. And so if you feel like a victim, if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you're, you really want to move forward, you have these great intentions, but you just can't seem to get there, and you're feeling like you're just stuck. You just feel kind of like passive in all of this, or like it's out of your control. It's not. You have a choice. And, we've talked about the 2 counselors. So we're to choose love over fear. So, so we have to recognize that we have a choice. We have to know that, and we have to own it, right? That's maturity. And we have to make the choice. We have to choose love, and recognize that if I even say that's a passive choice to choose fear, it's still a passive choice, right? We had a choice in the matter, so we're not a victim. So in this way, we move from being passive to being on the offensive, from being on the defensive to being on the offensive, and from being a victim to being a victor, right? And so that takes us from bondage to freedom, right? So 2 Timothy 1:7 is very clear. It tells us that God has not given us a spirit of fear. And it goes on, spirit of fear or intimidation or timidity. They go together, right? So if we're feeling intimidated by something, that's a voice, that's a counsel of fear. If we're feeling timid about something, so if we've lost our boldness to do the right thing, that's a voice of fear, right? That's the enemy. But this verse says, but he's given us the spirit of love and of power and of self-control. So love, of course, gives us a choice, right? And when we have a choice, we have power, right? We have the power to make the choice. We're not a victim anymore. The last thing that I want to mention here, and then we'll close out, is self-control. So in this verse, God has given us love and power and self-control. So that is a fruit of the Spirit, right? So if we have chosen love as our counselor, and we know love is God himself, right? The fruit of that Spirit is going to be self-control, which I alluded to earlier. So if we're choosing fear, then one of the things we're going to do is be reactive, right? But if we're choosing love, we're going to have self-control. And self-control says that you have the choice to think, to speak, and behave how you are thinking, speaking, and behaving. And you aren't a victim in this, but you're powerful, see, because you have a choice, and that means you have freedom. The fruit of the Spirit, so self-control, gives me the power to manage me. Okay. And so that's where I'm going to end here. And I'm going to end how it really began. And that is with the title that says Love's Fruit is Freedom. And love's fruit is freedom. And we've just seen that. So I hope this is encouraging to you. I hope that it's been beneficial to you. I know in preparing this, it has spoken to me. So I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm sharing with you, all in love, and I do hope that these teachings encourage you. I hope that they're helping you grow deeper in your faith walk with the Lord. I want to just remind you again before I get off, be sure to connect with us on our various platforms. Email us if you have anything that you'd like to share with us, how, the teachings are encouraging you, or any testimonies that you have. And so we really do enjoy reading them. Actually, over the weekend, I received got an email from a partner, and there's just an awesome blessing that he shared with us that he had received as a result of his sowing into I know he's a giver, and so one of the ministries he gives to is based on faith, and so the Lord has really blessed him with something amazing, and so it was really good, really encouraging, and so I like reading those, and we share those with the team. And so we're all just encouraged. And if you have anything that you'd like us to pray for, please share that as well. We really do pray for you. And I pray for you as well. So I think I'm going to conclude here and just tell you that I send you love and blessings. And then 2 weeks later, we will have our next teaching. So I look forward to then. Have a good day. Bye-bye.